Good evening and welcome to the commemorative area of the Australian War Memorial for this special last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell. Shortly, a current serving member of the Australian Defence Force will read tonight's story. We would like to acknowledge the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Now we will hear the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century.
Good evening. My name is Captain Nick Tate and I am currently serving in the Royal Australian Navy. Today we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Harold Jones, who was killed while fighting in France during the First World War. Harold Jones was born in 1894, one of 9 children of William and Alice Jones of Christchurch from New Zealand. When Harold was young, the family moved to Mittagong on the New South Wales Southern Tablelands. He attended Bowral District High School before working with his father as an assistant maltster at the Tooth & Co Brewery in Mittagong. Having spent a year in senior cadets as part of the mandatory government military training scheme of the time, Jones spent several years parading with the 43rd Infantry Regiment, where he held a commission as a lieutenant. Jones enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in Goulburn in January 1916, and after a period of training, he embarked for England with a reinforcement group for the 55th Battalion. The following months were spent training on the Salisbury Plains in Wiltshire, England, before embarking for the Western Front in November 1916. At this time, the 55th Battalion had recovered from its heavy losses sustained at Fromelles and had moved to the Somme, where it spent the following winter in the trenches near Fleur. Conditions were horrendous, the mud, rain and frostbite posing far greater threats than the German army. In January 1917, Jones was evacuated to England with a severe case of trench foot and spent several months recovering in hospital. He missed the 55th Battalion's costly actions at Doin and Boulogne and returned to France in August 1917. By now, the focus of the operations had moved north to Belgium, and Jones participated in the 5th Division's successful capture of the German bastion at Polygon Wood. Jones was promoted to corporal in January 1918, and he attended a number of courses the AIF prepared for a new year of fighting. Fortunately, the 55th Battalion was spared most of the German spring offensive, although it was in the line further to the north when the 13th and 15th Brigades successfully recaptured Villers-Bretonneux. The battalion remained in the area until the start of the Allied counter-offensive several months later and participated in the advance that followed as the Australia Corps spearheaded the final push in the last 100 days of the war. Most notably, the 55th Battalion played a pivotal role in the capture of Peroni, which fell to the Australians on the 2nd of September 1918. The success marked the beginning of the end of the First World War and represented the last line of German resistance before the Allies broke through the Hindenburg Line. Despite the victory, Peroni came at a heavy cost to the Australians. Among the 55th Battalion's 164 casualties incurred in the fighting that day was Harold Jones, who was among those killed in action. At just 24 years old, he was buried in the nearby Herbecourt British Cemetery. The name of Harold Jones is listed on the Roll of Honour among almost 62,000 others from the First World War. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal Harold Jones, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there in Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for watching and wish you all a very good evening.